Well, they're not shape-shifting. The thing is, I'm going to tell you what the shape-shift is, and it's really creepy. And this is the thing that they said that could wipe the world. People panicking with the riots and stuff. Because the cloning thing, people cloning people's kids, messing them up in the brain is bad enough. Remotely killing people who they don't like, which might happen to me, you never know. Thing is, the lizards. Okay, lizards been around a long time, like since before ancient Egypt and everything.
These creatures are called the Vrill.
They come up from underground different spots all over the world.
These things have always been under us. These bloodline families, they're just lizard helpers, and lizards favored them in the past. They used to bring them up gold and gems from underground that they mined, and they would trade people gems and gold, and they would give them animals, children, all kinds of things, and just cart them down tunnels and cages. Some of these things, the Brotherhood of the Snake, Dragon Society and stuff, it's all about lizards. They come up underneath the underground bases. The underground bases have connecting tunnels underneath of them, and they go way down deeper.
They need a methane oxygen mix to breathe, and deep underground they got sulfur pools, I guess, that make this stuff.
There's 3 types.
There's a 1 to 1.5 foot tall one. That's the Vrill type 1.
The type 1s are covered in red diamond-shaped scales. Vrill type 1s are real dumb. Little dragons, those are the Vrill type 1.
There's a type 2 that is not parasitic, but it's still vicious, nasty, carnivorous. They're all carnivorous.
Vrill type 2 are a little smarter.
And there's a type 3 that's 8 feet tall, has a real long neck, and looks like a gray alien.
And Vrill type 3 run the previous 2 kinds.
There's 3 different kinds of lizards. I'll tell you all about them. They're called Vrill. The thing is, I'm not sure if it's 1 L or 2 at the end. It's Vrill, V-R-I-L-L or V-R-I-L. Germans were into them. They had a club with Vrill things. Anyway, there's like a 1 to 1.5 foot tall one. That's the Vrill type 1. It's got scales, red scales. There's a type 2 that is not parasitic, but it's still vicious, nasty, carnivorous. They're all carnivorous. And there's a type 3 that's 8 feet tall that has a real long neck and looks like a gray alien. But it comes from deep underground, like below deep base deep. Like they need a methane oxygen mix to breathe, and deep underground they got sulfur pools, I guess, that make this stuff. Anyway, they come up underneath the domed bases. The government is complicit with them, basically. The small ones they use to drone people, to host people, because the proboscis on young lizard type 1s, they're small enough to go into an eye and not ruin the eye, right? Because they're supposed to do this to animals with bigger eyeballs, probably freaking dinosaurs. But yeah, the thing is, sometimes these people, they get a pet lizard, one of their very own. Like Elizabeth's one is called Matilda, and Kissinger's one is called Herbert, right? And they occasionally get a hold of a real kid and bring it to the cloning station and feed a kid to one of these lizards. It's like Alf, the show. Alf runs around trying to eat cats and stuff. Everybody thinks it's cute. Well, these things, their favorite food is a kid, human kid, because it has less vaccinations in it. Because some vaccinations, after a certain age, will, if they drain the blood out of a thing, the real lizard will die from the vaccinations, or it'll get real sick, or taste bad or something to them. So they get kids, they put them in a pit with this thing sometimes. I've seen it there.
There's even different kinds of these Vrills that don't even know about each other, and they don't even speak the same language to themselves. They talk in like clicks and gurgles and everything. But some of them are different colors too. Some of them have scales, like the type 1s have scales. But the ones under the Middle East have black scales. The ones under the British Islands are red scales. and they're pretty sick looking. I described them pretty well. They it's supposed to be what people would call a chupacabra. I could describe them well. I already have in other interviews, but they're a real problem.
Uh, well, the lizards have a thing, okay? They have what's called a proboscis. There's lizards out there today that have a proboscis on their face, okay? These things got it in the middle of their head, okay? And on the top of their head, this is the Vrill type 1 and 2. 1 and 2. The type 2 have a proboscis sheath that comes out, it sticks out. The type 1s, for instance, it's like a chocolate chip, it looks like, basically the tip of it. Now, at one point in these things' lives, because they have a long lifespan, the lizard species, one point in their life, they can slowly wiggle this thing out, eject it, and it goes into somebody's eyeball, okay, another animal. Now, it wiggles in by the sense of taste. They described this to me so, like, when I was like 18 years old there, and told me about it different times throughout the years of going there. They can bring you there every single night if they want to, and they did bring me there every night. They laughed at me when I said I was going to tell the world about this. They said, nobody's ever going to believe me. You won't put it together in a eloquent way. People will think that technology isn't that advanced yet with cloning because they just clone the sheep, right? No. They've been cloning people a long time this way. Thing is, the lizard, okay, the thing squiggles in through the eye. It does a spiral around the optic nerve all the way to a certain point, and it's driven there by taste. And they said once it gets there, it has the taste of butterscotch, and then it does a feeling like holding your breath and going, pushing outwards. And at the tip of this chocolate chip, it then starts what they call sweating the quill. Now, the spinal cord stuff comes out of the spinal cord, out of the chocolate chip thingy, and it's everything that the lizard is. The lizard's whole body is dead. The little lizard thing is dead, and it can't go back in. Can't get back in. It's one way. Once it excretes this stuff, sweats this quill thing, the person's debilitated for an unknown amount of time. I don't know how long. But when they come back, they have to have some recovery time. But when they come back, they are not the person anymore. They are then the lizard. Let me put this to you flatly. The old person's consciousness is gone. The body is absolutely, totally dominated, and the lizard is smarter as a human then, and totally controls everything. Over time, it'll develop a rash, it'll lose its hair. Thing is, these things are all over the place, and they mimic human behavior. In fact, one of their names in the past is Mimic.
These lizards have a unique biological property of their bodies.
The lizards have what's called a proboscis.
It's an ejectable brain and spinal column.
The small ones they use to drone people, because the proboscis on young lizard type 1s, they're small enough to go into an eye and not ruin the eye, because they're supposed to do this to animals with bigger eyeballs, probably friggin' dinosaurs.
They parasite a human's brain. This top cap thing on the top of their head comes out. They can do this once in their life. It pulls their spinal column along with it. The human would have to be restrained or unconscious.
The thing squiggles in through the eye. It does a spiral around the optic nerve all the way to a certain point, and it's driven there by taste. And they said once it gets there, it has the taste of butterscotch. It then starts what they call sweating the quill. The spinal cord stuff comes out of the spinal cord, and it's everything that the lizard is. The lizard's whole body is dead, and it can't go back in. It's one way.
The juice that's in the spinal cord gets excreted out of the tip of this thing. They're parasitic cells. The parasitic cells go into the brain.
The old person's consciousness is gone. The body is absolutely, totally dominated, and the lizard is smarter as a human. Over time, it'll develop a rash, it'll lose its hair.
And they're actually deficient. They're dumber than the original person.
And they mimic human behavior. It knows that its life is dependent on it mimicking human behavior, so it does really well. Even with other animals, it's smart enough to instinctually mimic the animal's behavior. The drones of 100 years ago erased any existence of these Vrill lizards from Egyptian carvings on walls. They would smash them, or books that had anything in them about them, they would burn them. Becomes a totally compliant slave, basically. Uh, does whatever the people want it to do because it's just happy to live life as a human being now, right? It's totally coherent, and it knows that its life is dependent on it mimicking human behavior, so it does really well. Even with other animals, it's smart enough to instinctually mimic the animal's behavior, right? It incorporates that animal's brain I don't know, it just takes over in the worst way. It's a parasitic lizard. It's nasty. A lot of the people that you hear about in the news that are getting people and chopping them up in the basement and eating them and stuff, frying them up, these are what they call drones. They're parasited hosts of the lizards. They like to make them. The only thing a drone wants to do is make more, have sex, and torture someone. It's a different kind of mentality. It's hard to explain. When they at the cloning station, when they victimize someone, it gives them a powerful feeling, and it's the nerdy way, that nerdy aspect of it. I've got something over someone, but they do that to the extreme. And the lizard thing, they tried to convince me that, and others, that it was a worldwide takeover thing, that they had already taken over so much that all was lost. You better just go along with it, but that's not true. They're a very, very small part of the population, like under 5% or something. But they drone people like beautiful women, and then have the drones marry these men, that whoever wants this woman, and they don't care that it's a lizard consciousness. They just do it, and it's still murdering the other person, though, and it's pretty sick, so I had to tell the world. A lot of the people that you hear about in the news that are getting people and chopping them up in the basement and eating them and stuff, frying them up, these are what they call drones. They're parasited hosts of the lizards. They like to make them. The only thing a drone wants to do is make more, have sex, and torture someone. It's a different kind of mentality. Some people say when they hear about something that on the news, someone wanted to chop up somebody down in their basement and eat them, they're like, how can a human being think something like that? And the thing is, it's because it's not a human being. It's a parasited host of a human being from this lizard. They do this lizard thing a lot in a lot of different countries. It's not just an isolated thing, and these things walk around all over the place.
A parasite-hosted human of a lizard is not a human anymore. It begins its life as human as a murderer. It murdered the previous human. It doesn't think like a human. It has a different train of thought. They're malevolent things.
And they're weird to talk to, too. They're not right. I've never seen a drone out there have any kind of visual difference other than an eye that bulges out a little bit from the droning process. They tried to convince me that, and others, that it was a worldwide takeover thing, that they had already taken over so much that all was lost. You better just go along with it, but that's not true. They're a very, very small part of the population, like under 5% or something. There is a way to detect them. You have to detect them with a CT scan or an MRI, damage behind the eye and damage the frontal lobes of the brain. These things on the inside, their brains look like hexagons, whereas ours looks like spewed out layers of custard or something. Their brains look like they got chambers in them, hexagon chambers. But yeah, they don't have much empathy at all for anything. And people can use them to replace problem people. Like some of these disgusting Illuminati guys are pretty ugly and they have no hope of getting a wife, so they'll find a beautiful woman and have them droned. They don't rot or anything, but I look at it like going out with a corpse, right? It's pretty disgusting. And they don't care that it's a lizard consciousness. They just do it, and it's still murdering the other person, though. But they emulate human behavior pretty well. It's in their instinct to copy, being a parasitical life form, but man, they're still just gross, and they don't think right, they don't work right. They freak out all the time. This is what they do. They use them to replace people, and there's celebrities that are drones in Hollywood, and drones don't want to get found out and sent off and killed. This is what I thought FEMA camps were for, rounding up drones, because they've been talking about it at the cloning center.
They're gonna have to get wiped, and they're gonna cry. They're gonna, no, please don't kill me, I didn't want to drone this human. You gotta kill these things.
I have to tell as many people as I can, because they kill people with these lizards, and I don't want to walk around in a world with those parasited human hosts in it. Like, they do this lizard thing a lot, like in a lot of different countries. It's not just an isolated thing, and these things walk around all over the place. There is a way to detect them. You have to detect them with a CT scan or a MRI.
Okay.
See damage behind the eye and damage the frontal lobes of the brain.
Well,
And
when they do CT scans on psychopaths, there's virtually zero brain activity kind of thing. Like it's all down here at the bottom base of the lower cortex, what they call the reptilian brain. Is that what you're talking about?
I didn't hear that, actually.
Okay. Well,
Never heard of that. They do it a lot. It used to be, it's a Luciferian thing. They said that these lizards were the sons of Satan or whatever, Lucifer or whatever. They're not, though. They're just a species of lizard that survived the extinction of the dinosaurs by being way, way underground. I'll just tell you, I know it sounds retarded. The damn things can talk, okay? But they don't have a tongue. I'll tell you about their mouths. It takes a while. Basically, they have a blood spike, okay? This is what they call a chupacabra, too. They come up from underground different spots all over the world, right? Like worms out of a rotten apple. Different spots, and then they infiltrate the society there. But the drones today have erased, well, 100 years ago, erased any existence of these Vrill lizards from, like, Egyptian carvings on walls. They would smash them, right? Or books that had anything in them about them, they would burn them. Because drones don't want to get found out and sent off and killed. Like, this is what I thought FEMA camps were for, rounding up drones, because they've been talking about it at the cloning center. This is where they discuss all political, worldly affairs.
How long has this been happening? Like, we know about it's happening now, but I mean, like, how far back? Like, does this go all the way back to Egyptian days and prior to Egyptian days? I mean,
Well, they were in Egypt, ancient Egypt times, yeah. They've always been around. Vrills and other different things, they've always been around.
Anyway, Queen Elizabeth is really in with these things, okay? Her family has been for a long time. Now, these bloodlines, all that they are super inbred people, okay? What the edicts of Lucifer, like, my family are down with this stuff. That's why I don't talk to them anymore. Inbreeding makes you strong. Pedophilia keeps you young, and helping lizards gives you good luck or something from the devil and stuff. They used to do this thing, kill your firstborn son, it gives you fortune in life or something. And it's pretty sick. So anyways, yeah, all that stuff is, not true, and they know it. They just keep it going for like some stupid club, like the Devil Club. Ooh, we're cool, we're evil. These lizards are smarter than a chimpanzee, and they're saying that this is probably the thing that's going to cause the greatest stir in human history, finding out about the parasite lizards. People have kept them secret because in the past, they used to think they were magic. They didn't know what parasites were.
But I'm not sure of their origins, but they are the highly evolved lizard species. They're reptilian. They actually have said that they're not actually lizard. They're saurian, as in dinosaurian. They said that they lived past the cataclysm that killed dinosaurs because they were so far underground. Anyway, different religious cultures and sects and stuff started interacting with them. China was big into them. Israel was big into them. They're underground in like different regions all around the world, and there's even different factions of Vrill. That's their name, the Vrill. That's the common name they all call themselves.
They can say the word themselves, Vrill.
The lizards can talk. Basic speech. They sound like they swallow helium. The small ones, the first type ones. They were all asking, what are we going to do, Darnie? We don't want to kill you. It's disturbing to look at them talking to you.
The lizards come up from underneath the deep bases, and they hang there with all the clones in the cloning floor, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff.
They have little stairs made for the stupid things and everything. They walk right up and they sit around in the stands with them and everything. It's sick. Some people don't like sitting near them. They smell funny and they're really creepy looking. So they sit on the other side.
They fight there sometimes and have the clones sit there and watch them. That's how I got in contact with them. I met them at the cloning center as a clone.
I met these stupid things when I was a kid there. I pretended to like them when I was a kid because I couldn't believe it was stuck on me. They're like, meet the Vrill. I'm like, that's not real, that's a puppet. And they're like, it's no puppet. That's something you guys made because they make splice things, but no, they're natural things, creatures.
Well, they showed me the biology of them out there. Perfect human killing machines.
They included me into some kind of a torture spectacle. They'd chain me up, and people get like aroused there in the stands at watching it, the screaming and stuff. And lizards, Vrills, the lizards really love it. It's like music to them. They got built-in sonar. They're real sensitive to sound and light because they're basically subterranean troglodytes, like trolls. Basically, they are trolls. Well, they're really paranoid. They're parasitic creatures. Parasitic psychology is really cowardly. They slink around in the dark, have humans help them. If they're seen, they're discovered and it's ruined. Secrecy is part of a lizard's religion. Parasite psychology hide in the shadows. Once it's proven, once you see a crab, I call them crab nasties, once you see a Vrill body on television, and then people know what the proboscis does, and then someone says the percentage of the population that has been droned, it could lead to panic, riots, loss of social order, martial law, all that, and that could be the end of the world spiral down.
The Illuminati are basically using me to expose these lizards in an eloquent way because none of them want to be the first person out so that they'll die. There's a type 2 that is not parasitic, but it's still vicious, nasty, carnivorous. They're all carnivorous. The third kind is the smartest, the biggest and the strongest and everything, and they pretty much lord over the other two. There's different regions, though. They cannibalize on each other underground.
Those long-necked aliens in the Star Wars movie, they would be a representation of a certain type of Vrill. Vrill, I call them Vrill Type 3s. Everybody else calls them that too. But those are the best-looking kind of ones that you'll find. They would be young ones, but they get real ugly. Like, that's the best-looking ones you're ever going to find. They get really, really ugly. They end up looking like Pumpkinhead after a while, which is why they made Pumpkinhead look like Pumpkinhead.